Hello friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for Try It Tuesday. I'm working on part 3 of our most recent trip, so stick around. Hey everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me. As promised, I am back with my final process video for the second trip that we took this summer to Pittsburgh, where Nora and I tagged along with Matt on his work trip. So I am going to finish this album in today's video. It came together pretty quickly. I think I completed documenting this whole trip in about a week or so of time. I don't know how many hours, but working on it here and there before and after work, not really before, after work, and on weekends and my couple of days off. So I'm glad to have this all documented. I find that when I work on something pretty quickly after I am back, my memory is nice and fresh, and it helps me to remember all the details when I'm documenting my stories. So let me speed up the camera real quick and continue narrating this process. So this is documenting Thursday, the last day of being in Pittsburgh. And Nora and I decided, well, she was dead set on going to this Museum of Illusions that she'd seen on the interwebs, I guess. And she was like, oh my gosh, there's one here, I really want to go. And I was not so excited about it for a couple of reasons. One, I thought it was kind of pricey just for like an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of time spent. Plus, it's in the heart of downtown Pittsburgh, which means parking is a you-know-what. And it's not a like a museum or something that has like a designated parking garage. So I don't typically have too much driving anxiety. For the most part, I'm okay, but if it's somewhere I've never been and I'm alone, like I don't have another adult with me, it's a little bit tough. So I was trying to talk her out of it, but we ended up going. Long story long. And so I'm just documenting this little I guess, field trip, if you will, that we went on. And it ended up being pretty cool. I was really glad I did some digging, and I went to their social media and found that teachers could get in for free if they had an ID and a school email. And I brought my teacher ID with me because I thought we were going to other museums, and I know that a lot of museums have like free entry for teachers. Not thinking, and I ended up not using it up until this point. So it was serendipitous and it worked out really well. So I just cut down the business card I took from the museum and stamped the date at the top at the end and put that on the love card. Then I have the picture of Nora in front of the museum and just put the chipboard word phrase that says destination. Here and there, I might add a few puffy stickers. For the most part, it's pretty straightforward, and this is going to come together quickly. And then I had bought a sticker from the museum, and I'm going to attach that to this other 3x4 card that says color. And I'm going to actually stitch around the sticker because I decided it looked too much like a 2D and not a 3D section of my crafty scrappy notebook. So I want it to look more crafty, so I'm going to add stitching because that's the era that I'm in. And then on the story card, I'm just journaling about how what I already told you, that she was like dead set on going, and it ended up being really cool. And then I also wrote that we saw over 60 exhibits, from holograms to optical illusions to Nora's favorite immersive rooms, and that I was glad that we went. Nora had a great time, so it was a win for sure. So while I was yapping, I don't know if you noticed, I was showing a close-up of the stitched sticker, which really isn't stitched to the paper, but the stitching is just for extra because that's how I roll. Then I have this little insert that I'm going to use that has the, like, I don't know, it's like a pamphlet, I guess. I'm a trash panda, and I'm just going to add the story word strip as like a tab. I didn't add anything to it. I just kind of kept it in there as like part of the story. And then I printed out this big photo outside the page protector in my diptych app I used for the grid, and then printed it out. And it's just a bunch of the pictures from the day. There were more pictures, but these were like my favorite ones. And I have just the remember moments little like die cut tag, and then I'm going to add a couple of puffy stickers from my stash. They're older paper person shop stickers, so I added like a little heart inside the O, which is one of my favorite things to do, a little ticket, admit one, because that was perfect for this occasion, and then like a little disco ball, because the picture that the disco ball is on, the bottom right, is Nora going through this like tunnel, and it is very hard to walk straight, I will say. So it was really cool. There were a lot of exhibits that like the top left picture is Nora's head on a plate, and then there's like a room of never-ending mirrors with like the cotton candy looking clouds at the top. There was like opportunities for her on the bottom left. It looks like she's falling, like climbing on a building, and just there was a lot of really cool things that we did together, and we like laughed a lot. It was fun, and it was funny too. Then on the back side, I found this fun like scalloped pattern paper from the storyteller kit, the color one, and I printed out these larger photos of one of our favorite like optical illusions from the museum. So it looks like, I'm Nora's like in an itty bitty chair far away, and I'm like holding the chair and vice versa. So it was really fun. We were giggling pretty hard, and the lady, like, their job is just to take pictures for people. So she took a couple photos, and that's how we got these awesome ones to remember the trip. Then I wanted to use another one of the big words across the middle of the photos, so I have memory. And I also had this little red die cut. It looks like a stamp. And I wrote, "This was the best photo op, such a cool illusion." And I wrote, it's called the Bichot chair. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The Bichot chair illusion. And then I had this from the Q&A storyteller kit, the Love Sharing This Story die cut, which was red, and obviously going with red and blue on this page because that's the colors that are in the photo. And then along the left side, I don't know if I do this now, I might do this later, I add some blue pom-pom trim because I love my pom-pom trim. The next page is pocket pages, 2 4x6 slots, one that I have like a grid of photos, and I got a little bit creative with it because I ended up, I don't know why I did this, but instead of having a grid photo that had a full size on one side, like 3x4, and then 2 3x2s, I separated the grid photo into 4 separate sections of 3x2s. So this mural on the side of the building has like a big white line through it because I don't know, I wasn't thinking about that. I totally could have avoided that, but it's fine. I stretched out one picture over 2 different rectangles because I wanted the whole thing in the photo. You'll see what I mean in a second here. Right now I'm just adding the trim. Right, you're probably like, what are you talking about? You'll see. So again, journaling on the top of this paper under the Enjoy Completely Yes Please about spending a couple hours there, and then I decided that Nora decided she wanted to get boba, so we had to go on a boba hunt. And again, boba hunting, driving through Pittsburgh is very challenging. It was a little bit tricky. I talked about the first place we went to was actually closed, and it didn't seem to be in the best of areas, so that was interesting. And then we did go another like 15-20 minutes, and we were in some sort of college area, and I found a boba store. Got her the boba while I left her in the car with the flashers on. And after that, I was like, okay, I deserve a treat. I need to find another stationery shop. This was stressful. So that is what we did. But you could see that big mural right on the right side of this photo I'm working on. That's what I'm talking about, where I could have just had 2 3x2 photos on the left and 1 3x4 on the right, but I don't know. It still looks cool. I mean, it works. Anyways, so I talked about how, I was just like driving around. So these were just different views as I was on, or I guess I should say as we were on our scavenger hunt for boba, which is always something that we do when we're in a new area. So I love that I was able to get, the picture of, I forget the name of the stadium, forgive me, where the Steelers play. And then going over one of the big bridges. It's Bridge City, so, how to get a picture of that, and it looks gorgeous. And I found this little chipboard piece that says my path, and that covers up the little car that's in front of me, so it just looks like it's us alone on the open road. And I found this chipboard piece that says let's go exploring, which was the perfect sentiment for this story, and that sums up this page. Also now working on the next side of it, which has I just took a 3x4 card. I love using the colorful The Story prompt 3x4 cards. So I just taped that to the back of the 4x6 card and then printed out another photo using a grid in diptych and added a few on a 3x4 sized picture. So it's just different photos from the stationery store that I found, and then I took their business card at Artist and Craftsman Supply. Inside I tucked the receipt, and later on I found and forgot about having the little boba sleeve from the boba store, so I tucked that little piece of ephemera behind the business card as well. And all I did was take some very thin score tape and add a piece to the left side of the business card and a piece to the bottom side, so it just acted like a little kind of pocket, if you will. And then I'm journaling about finding the stationery store, or really it's an art supply store, and finding some more of the Caran d'Ache pastels and getting those. And then Nora, who was like contemplating getting a blind box of a capybara because she loves them, but then she noticed this blind bag that one of the employees had drawn a capybara on, and I kept it, and it was inside, it was like all capybara themed items, and she was like, ooh, I don't know, what if I like get this bag and there's stuff in it that I don't really like? I'm like, well, that's the risk you take, you know, if you're gonna buy one of these blind bag things. But she lucked out way hard because it had one of the capybara blind boxes that she was looking at and a few pens and stickers, and it was super cute. So I kept that paper bag because somebody took the time to draw on it, even though I ended up covering it up with the ephemera. It's fine. It's a memory piece, right? And so I just taped the pen box and the blind box on top of that paper, and then I circled the image of the actual like figure that she did get from the blind box. I thought it was a super cute way of using what we had from the trip, and it was, you know, such a fun way to keep the ephemera. I always love to go back and look at things like this. All right, so on the back side, all I did was adhere this paper bag to a piece of scrap cardstock that was white, and made sure that it was 7 by 8 1/4, which is outside the page protector. Oh, there I go, finding the part of the sleeve from the bubble tea. Anyways, on the back of that, this page I'm working on now, I have some ephemera from where we got dinner Thursday night. We were looking always for a gluten-free restaurant that gets good reviews. A lot of times it means that it's ethnic food, which is like our absolute favorite. And in this case, it was going to be Venezuelan. And we were like, the last thing I wanted to do was get back in the car and drive around and look for another place because it was in a sort of shady spot. Little tiny corner restaurant, you know, sort of hole in the wall place. Hardly any English spoken. We were like, we know it's going to be good. So like, that's how you know it's good. So we went in, it was blew our mind crazy. Like Nora and I kept going, ooh, like we couldn't believe how good it was. It was like, we gave it like 11 out of 10 when we were eating it. So I decided that I wanted to use this very old paper from my stash that I have been like eyeing for so many different projects and never used. And I decided I wanted to print out the photos on transparency, which is something I've never done. So a couple weeks ago, I purchased some transparency inkjet paper for my printer, thinking about December daily coming up. But in this case, I was like, I like how you can see that it says details on the white circles underneath. And that's what I wanted to achieve. So I printed them all these photos on the transparency. Then I fussy cut out the circles and I stapled them to the circles, to the white circles on the paper. And then, so they're just different photos from being out to dinner. Then I had this like food stamp set from Studio Calico that I love using. So I pulled that out to add a little bit of stamping. And the girl our waitress at the restaurant was so kind. She was like, our arepas came wrapped with this really cute butcher paper that had their logo on it and a little drawing. And I was like, ooh, can I have like a clean one of these? I'm a scrapbooker. And she like didn't really understand everything I was saying. So I showed her my phone and she was like, oh yeah. And then she brought me another one. So that she said they'd had it for a little while, but they weren't using it. And I was like, oh, cool. So I ended up using the black like printed packaging for an envelope. And I love that I chose to do this. I think it's super fun. And I'll talk about that more in just a second. But while I'm finishing up this side, you can see that I'm just stamping out some little things to go inside the circles. So it was perfect. There were arepas or they could even be perceived as like wontons if you wanted. But to me, you know, it makes sense. They look like arepas. And I stamped more, please. And then on the menu at the top, which was off camera, sorry about that. Oh, here comes the ephemera. Look at that. Look at that butcher paper with the print in. It's chef's kiss. Perfect I was so happy. Like, more happy than I would have been just like buying some of those wax pastels. Like, I was like, this is legit ephemera. Like, this is amazing. My husband was like, okay, so you're telling me this was free, but you want to go buy all those stationery? And I was like, stop your sentence right there. Ridiculous. I know, I'm ridiculous. So anyhow, I am going to use this as an envelope, and I wasn't quite sure how this was all going to come together, but I knew that I wanted to journal about this amazing experience we had with the food on a card. So I was looking for a green card to write on. And I had one left over from the fun storyteller kit. So I just wrote about all of what I told you, like the track there, being blown away by the flavor, like just it was gluten-free, delicious street food, and it was just insane. So I tucked that into the butcher paper envelope there, and at the top I decided to add a little tag and stamp on that dine in, and then I stamped the a couple of images from that stamp set as well. So I really didn't know how this was going to turn out, like I said, so I'm kind of just playing around as I go, trimming down some excess paper there, using a glue stick to then cover up the top part of the paper that had negative space with the other wrapper, and gonna stamp on the die cut. And I'm going to attach the die cut with my tiny attacher, and on the back of this note card I'm going to reprint the same photo that's on the right, the biggest photo, the circle of Nora in front of the restaurant, because it's my favorite and it's perfect. So I printed that out to, just to be able to see, I guess, maybe a little bit more clear, and since it's kind of the feature photo, if you will. So I decided to add that to the back and tuck that right into the envelope. I am not the biggest fan of white space. I always feel slightly awkward when there's too much of it, and I felt like in this situation, with it just being a plain piece of white cardstock on the border of where I have the butcher paper, I decided to pull out some washi and kind of cover that up. So, and I think I'm glad that I did. I think it looks a lot better. So I found this like thick green striped washi. It's an old one from Studio Calico, and I'm just going to use that to cover up this white space and just add something, like just a tiny little bit of color. When the only unfortunate thing is when I go to repunch my holes, I did it off center from the original holes, so it looks kind of jacked up, but it is what it is. It's going to stay that way. Also, I'll mention, I forgot and didn't film that I had the room key envelope from our hotel stay, and I ended up taping it to the outside of this butcher paper because this is like, Thursday night, the end of the trip, the end of being in Pittsburgh. So this was the perfect place for it. So I ended up taping the envelope and journaling about just how we took our time packing on Friday morning to get on the road and go to the second hotel to check in near Darien Lake Six Flags. And then, basically that I couldn't wait to get home to my cats Saturday morning. But I wanted to include that envelope because it has like our room number and the checkout date on it on the inside that the concierge wrote on the card. And then I just wanted to do just a little bit more journaling about, like when we left and all that kind of stuff. So that added another little spot for storytelling as well. While I was talking, I was also using some of the other butcher paper with the logo of the store to cover up some of the semicircles on the edge of that pattern paper where it said detail. So there is a picture of, or there is a portion of the wrapping paper, the packaging, if you will, as well there. So I loved including that on the page. Then on the back side, I have this huge photo of the three of us at Darien Lake. It's a Six Flags, and Nora's a roller coaster freak, as you probably know. So we took our time leaving the hotel and leaving Pittsburgh and driving because we knew, there were only a handful of coasters. It wasn't going to take us that long. So, yeah, I talked a little bit about that. And then I embellished the photo just with a simple chipboard. I stamped amusement park, road trip, and the date, and then I added some yellow pom-pom trim to the edge. That's an old stamp from Paper Person Shop, and I did mask off amusement and park separately because it was a vertical, like linear stamp, and I wanted it to fit on this chipboard oval. So I love doing that sometimes if I need it to fit a certain space. And then I have this little insert that says on your mark, get set, go. And I thought that was perfect to kind of tell the story about our road trip from Pittsburgh to New York. And I just put a few puffy stickers from various places on there, a little blue car and a suitcase and a geotag. And I stamped Miles and Miles. It's a who, when, where, why from an old Ali Edwards road trip stamp set. And I wrote our little family when Friday, August 29th, we left at 11, then drove to New York for our fun, where Six Flags Darien Lake, and why, our last bit of fun before school. We had to ride every coaster and did. And then on the back of it, I just kept it simple with this vellum piece. It's like blue marbling. It's an old piece from my stash, and I really am just using this as kind of a filler as well. And I didn't have too much of a plan, so I went through my 3x4 cards to see what would work on the back side of this, and I found this quote card from the old travel kit that says, "To move, to breathe, to fly, to float, to gain all while you give, to roam the roads of lands remote, to travel is to live," which is an old Hans Christian Andersen quote. And then I also added the Seeds of Memories vellum, and I used my slick writer pen to write on the vellum so that it would stay and not like rub off. And I wrote the roller coasters we rode in order. And so it was the Predator, Ride of Steel, Pirate Ship. That's not a coaster, obviously. Viper, Tantrum, Mind Eraser, Boomerang, and then the Ride of Steel one last time. And then I just wrote that on our way to the hotel, we stopped for ice cream too. And I found this little blue circle chipboard piece that said Long Summer Days. And I just wanted to include that because, again, white space, too much of it feels wonky to me. So I added it in some of that white space at the top of that vellum die cut. Again, I really enjoy using stash items and pairing it with newer kits. It is easier to work with a kit because obviously everything coordinates isn't intended to go together. But at the same time, if the kit, like I'll always reference the kit first, right? Like I knew I wanted to use the Color Storyteller kit as my jumping off point, and then I will add in things here and there as I see fit. So like certain papers, if I'm looking for a certain size, then I'll go to my 6 by, or well, it's really 7 by 8 1/4, the stash of papers I have, or if I'm looking for a specific color of a card, 3 by 4 or 4 by 6, I'll look through those, and then so on and so forth. So I'll try to use, like, if I know I want to add some embellishments, I'll look at the embellishments that came with the kit first. If I can't find anything that works there, then I'll dip into my stash and see what I have. And usually it's based off of the color that I'm looking for. And a lot of my embellishments are separated by color, but if they're not, then they're separated by like the type. So if it's like vellum, plastic, chipboard, that type of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's part of what, like, how my brain works. And so you can see here, I'm kind of playing around and auditioning different die cuts and embellishments to see what I can put on the back of this paper. So that's where I found that quote, and I was like, ooh, that's perfect. And I don't want to introduce any other colors than the yellow, blue, or black. So then I knew I had that black Seeds of Memories vellum piece, and I just use that teeny tiny score tape to attach it. And usually I don't have any problem with see-through. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's fine. Like, a lot of people use double-sided tape on vellum and you can see through and see the tape through and it drives them crazy, but it doesn't really bother me, and it's very subtle, so it's no big deal. I decided I didn't like the yellow August Moments phrase sticker there though, so I'm going to move that in a little bit. Right now I have this other paper from my stash, again looking for something that was yellow or a simple background, and I liked the way the yellow popped against most of the blue in the photos. It was a perfect day, so I printed out 6 of my favorite pictures from the trip and made them into circles in the Diptyque app, and then printed them out, punched them with my 3.5, I think it's 3.5, or maybe it's 2.5 inch circle punch. And they're just a few different pictures from the day. And so then I decided, oh, this is where I can add. I just wanted a little something, nothing crazy, because again, when I have a lot of little photos like this, I don't want to add too many embellishments to, so it doesn't like look too cluttered, I guess. So I put the August Moments sticker on one of the bottoms of these circle photos. Then I also went back to that sticker sheet and added in Breathe in the Summer Air and These Are the Good Old Days. And those stickers I think are from August Stories by the Month kit, I believe. I'm about to show you a finished flip through of the pages I completed in this video, reminding you that I did add a few details here and there off camera that did not get filmed, such as pom-pom trim and, like I said, that key card that I added. So just keep that in mind while you're looking at the flip through. And let me know if you have any questions about products or techniques or anything like that. I love questions and I love to chat in the comments. And I really appreciate you spending time with me while I documented this little getaway. I have really enjoyed being able to share memories with you and to get these stories told. I'm so excited to have my full 2025 summer trip album all complete. Can't wait to put it on the bookshelf out in the living room. All right, so make sure that you are following me, you're subscribed, all that stuff. Please do. You're more than welcome here on the channel, and I will be back very soon with a flip through of this completed album. And that's about it. So if you like this video and videos like it, do me a favor, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would subscribe, I would be so happy. And if you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here and following my journey. And I will see you guys on, on the flip through videos. So take care of yourselves, friends. Remember that you are enough. And I love you guys. Bye.